This research was conducted through Project Rewear, initiated by Fashion for Good and Circular Economy in partnership with the Revival Earth and Art Diction. Its goal is to understand the current and desired future of second-hand clothing in the Kantamanto market.
This be some place where the new tends to waste their pace is very frantic, new dates, new antics.
We are trying to understand the Kantamanto ecosystem, and out of the research we're able to put together a bit of a structure that reflects what the system looks like. Number one has to do with the importers. So the importers are the individuals or organizations that really go and engage with what we call sending actors or sending players out of the country, just to go through an exercise of sorting out and probably knowing what they want to bring into the country, which most of them come by sea. And the importers works out, dealing with customs to be able to, pay the import tax duties, and the goods travel all the way from the port down to Kantamanto market. The next players I want to highlight are the traders, and the traders are categorized into wholesale and retailers. Now, for better understanding, wholesalers, they buy, they are going to resell. Some of them goes into not within just the Kantamanto area, but then goes beyond Kantamanto into other regions, and it also crosses borders. So we have certain traders coming from Burkina Faso, Benin, just to come and pick the clothing and then take them to their region. We also have the next set of players that are the consumers. So when you walk within the market, you are seeing people buying clothes that they are going to use for special activities and all that. But there are also a next set of important group of people who really help the traders make sure the attire or the clothing looks good. Then these are the repairers, because then sometimes by the time you open up your bale, there's a torn button, it is crumpled, you need to straighten it, you need to iron it the way, or it's a bit faded, it has to be dyed and all that. So they go through various techniques just to make sure it looks really good and consumers can pick them up off their rack or whatever way that is being displayed. Now, there are also potters, and these are popularly known as the kayayus or kayayis. I mean, most of them are females, and the role that they play is to assist consumers or traders, and even importers to be able to move their goods from point A to point B. And it is quite interesting to see this day-to-day hustling within Kantamanto market. After the porters, there are auxiliary players. So, if you see the screens and you see the market, you realize there are parasols, lined up. There are people who their job is to rent out, is to ensure the spaces where traders want to occupy do have the necessary logistics to support them run their activities throughout the entire day. It could be the washroom, the sanitations and all that. There's also security, and these are very vital day and night kind of role, just to ensure there is calm within the market. If there are any chaos and all that, they can intervene and support, and more or less, like if it is beyond them, relay them to the necessary authorities for them to be able to engage and make sure there's peace within the market. There are also what we call the waste management actors. These have the organized groups and let's say individuals as well. The organized groups usually work with the authorities to be able to pick up waste. We also have the local regulators, and these are the Accra Metropolitan Assembly that are focused on collecting, we call them levies, that um, help them to be able to still bring calm, to still take care of um, how things are being regulated within the market. Basically, that is their role. So there are some new players, and these are organizations, tourists, researchers who do, I mean, have some specific interests. They have some set of objectives, and they've been for the past 3 years, quite active in ensuring they achieve their aim that is linked to either a local or an international either policy agenda or environmental agenda. We are happy to engage with Revival Earth. So Revival Earth has been a key player through our research because they have like repair space, they are here on ground to deal with the locals, and we are very grateful for this journey. And I'd like to really get a bit of an opinion with regards to the ecosystems that we have mentioned, and is it enough, or what are the missing gaps, to be able to make it, I don't know if you could say, to have a good sustainable culture in that sense.
Well, I mean, thanks for having me on this. Like you said, I'm Yayra Agbofah, founder and creative lead for the Revival, where we are based here in Kantamanto, focusing on trying to deal with the textile waste crisis, which is here is the main source, which is Kantamanto market. Now, yes, the ecosystem here is very important, but then the missing gaps we have in here is the fact that there is no proper structure and infrastructure to be able to help make the ecosystem function properly.
Okay.
Example is just the physical structure of the market. The typical example I could give you is with a little rain there is flooding. It's because the right infrastructure is not being put. Point blank, Kantamanto space is not a decent working place because of the inadequate infrastructure. That takes me to the aspect of even the management aspect of it. There is no proper defined structure that makes things streamlined in a way that if this goes from stage A to stage B. We are trying to help with the situation of making the second-hand ecosystem just and fair, where everybody wins. Now, in this situation, currently, some people are winning, some people are losing.
Okay.
Right from the sending country, they make money, and they also keep their environment clean. Out of sight, out of mind. The importer here makes money because they sell it to the traders to sell it to final consumer or wholesale it. Now, government makes money, import tax duties. When it gets to the trader, that's where the problem is. Trader now trader's fate on making money or winning here is determined on the quality of the items. And the problem there is that sorting is not done properly, or it's not accurate, not giving them the right information of what each bill entails. Hence, they have to deal with whatever they get. Immediately, the bale of clothing, which is 55 kilo bale, leaves the warehouse. It's not returnable. Whether this is filled with unsellable items like winter clothes and stuff, or things that needs to be repaired, it's at your own cost. So, most of the traders will tell you it's a luck game. Kantamanto trading or the second-hand trade is a game of luck. You win some, you lose some. You might be wondering, why are people still in this business? It's because of the low level of unemployment in Ghana. Unemployment is on a high rise. There are no jobs. So then, what other alternative is there? No alternative. So they have to stay within this and endure. And that's another beautiful aspect of the market, is that the resilience is what keeps this market going. But that doesn't defeat the fact that there's a problem. There's a massive problem. And trying to be able to make the ecosystem in terms of the economic and the viability run across from top to bottom or from bottom to top. Also, the flow of information and communication is not in the ecosystem.
No.
Everybody is working in silos. Importer is doing their own thing. Government is doing their own thing. Exporter, trader is doing their own thing. That is why the traders have to deal with things that are not sorted properly.
Okay.
Example, imagine if there is a clear communication between what the traders want. They are on the ground. They sell to consumers. They know what is sellable. They know what is viable on the market. They can give a packing list and say, this is what we want. Give it to your importers or sending countries. Bring, this is what we want in these conditions and this period. If that happens, then there will be a just and fair system where they also win, because they wouldn't have to deal with things that are unsellable, because everything is based on their preferences.
I want to go back a bit in terms of inadequate infrastructure and all that. And in the research, we identified that, AMA, of course, is the governing body that takes care of the city.
Exactly.
And Kantamanto is one core area that, they have a huge mandate to be able to ensure everybody's winning within that space and people are happy. What do you think has been like their role, and what can be done better in ensuring that the infrastructure gap that you speak of would be able to meet the standards?
I think more attention needs to be paid. I think the relevance of Kantamanto needs to be recognized properly, because for a place that employs over 20,000 people, forms a very key aspect of our economy. Hence, the government, which is AMA, who is the arm of the government, should pay attention to it, which is currently their responsibility is to make sure sanitation is properly done here. But you've seen it for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not. So even the little task that they have, they are not achieving, they are not being able to take up that tax. And even go beyond looking at how infrastructure, in terms of even basically placing these bins, trash bins in the market. It's not there.
It's not even visible.
It's
you
not
can
visible.
see them, yeah.
So these basic things cannot be even achieved. Then how a bit more up level stuff. So it all comes out, it boils down to relevance and priority of these government bodies. They need to know, they need to understand that Kantamanto is bringing revenue to the government.
Yeah.
Hence, they also need to pay attention and invest that revenue into this space.
Yeah.
Because for 4 decades plus, this place has been in existence and creating jobs for generations. And it needs to be protected. It needs to be improved so that this can run. Imagine Kantamanto closed down today. Where are these 20,000 plus people going to go? Big problem. So then it's the decision of the government, or it's the responsibility to restructure how they manage places like this, and give more priority to the people here, the infrastructure, and the entire business case.
If you say priority, is to understand that they listen to them to really understand what their needs are,
There should be that
to
connection.
be able to
There is
to
a
be
big
able to
disconnect.
give the solution that really
Exactly.
matters to them. Earlier on, when we were speaking, you spoke about even the quality in terms of a trader buys, and then it doesn't meet the expectation because of what they find in our research. We got to understand that. We asked a simple question in terms of, is the quality improving, or it is declining? And it wasn't surprising to know that about 55% of them said yes, it is declining. Quite a few number were not really sure. It's like it's standardized and all that. Also, there were certain questions like, okay, where does the best bill come from and all that, and then they would say UK and probably the West Bay, we find China really leading and all that. For me, it's out of these 100 plus traders that we engage in this activity. And I'll get to it, but I will have to break it down. What I realized was that when it comes to best bill, worst bill, is the quality declining and all that, there are too many factors that comes in, because even by default the grading system, it's not coherent, right? We have the sending countries having their own way of grading, and then importers do have their categorization of the grading, and then we have traders also having something different. Within that, I got to understand that certain factors really that influences their decision or the conclusion that they make would be either is based on where the bill is coming from. It is based on what is in trend. So if it's manifest is wearing it, then it's it's in trend. So they want to get into it. If we also look at the material type, so how smooth, how comfortable it is on the skin, the type of brands that are involved.
Yeah.
So top brands, then it's like it's in trend. What influence, your definition?
There's a big difference between our grading system here in Ghana, in Kantamanto, and then the sending countries.
Yeah.
What they determine waste, what they determine sellable or wearable might not be the same situation here. For example, grade A. Grade A are items that, first of all, are in trend. Also influenced by the sending country, and then the look and feel of it. So if it's a t-shirt that is in good with nice graphics and it's in good conditions, that is something that is sellable. If it's a shirt, polo shirt or a nice long sleeve that is white, not fade, the color is not faded or anything, this is in high demand from bankers and people who go in the corporate space.
Okay.
So then the look and feel and then where it's coming from is one aspect. And then when it gets to the second other grades, like the grade B, is when the items are a bit low in terms of don't look or are not in as good condition as the grade A. So for example, if the shirt, the t-shirt has nice graphics, but then it feels a bit loose, like the neck feels a bit loose or something, or it has a bit of like just minor dirt that can be washed, or it has like a small little thing that could be fixed, then it could be considered as a B because it's wearable, it's sellable, and it can be used. The grade C are the ones that are have not have 100% certainty of whether are sellable or not, because they have certain mistakes or issues on them that only will be determined by the consumer. So the trader will put it in there, hoping that they don't see, the consumer wouldn't see it, and just take it like that, or the consumer would see it and feel like, okay, I can wash it, it will be fine, or I can just stitch it, it will be fine, and that forms the grade C. So the grade C mostly you don't have certainty. Grade A, certainty that this is also
quality.
Grade B, you have certainty up to a certain level, but then it's a majority of sale. A grade C is a 50-50 thing, or even a 60-40 thing, where they're hoping that the consumer does not see the problem or feels like it's fine, I can wear it. And then the D is items that are in bad conditions, items that are unsellable. For example, and most of those ones are also considered by its functionality. So winter clothes. Look how hot Ghana is. Today is 28 degrees or something. We don't need winter clothes
at all.
Then the percentage of people that buy winter clothes, which are mostly people who are about to travel, is very minimal, like 2% or something, even less. So then that already concludes or determines that this is, I'm not even going to look at it. Even sometimes for me, when we're doing our sorting and I see winter clothes, I even sweat at the sight of winter clothes. So then that determines that says literally it's not happening. That forms a grade D. And then also the thickness, also the material composition, like the wool and the warmness, the cashmere and these things.
Yeah.
These things are not are not functional based on our climate. And then the feel and the look of it. A lot of the grade D and stuff are either in terrible conditions, they are torn, they are ripped, they are heavily stained, or they are out of trend. They know, like, for example, political suits. People don't wear political suits again. It's old school. People don't want it again. Or old vintage stuff. Even though vintage has some level of demand in Europe because there are thrift shops and other things, but that's not the culture here. There are not much vintage collectors. People are here looking for what's trending, what's on the latest trend they see on social media, what's popping. That's what they are about. If it's not that, then it falls within the other categories. Oh. So, and then also just the origin as well. There are also some bales that are called auction bales. These bales are literally abandoned bales that are on the port, and they just sell them very cheap, and they bring them in there, really all mixed stuff, really bad conditions. And some of the traders who cannot afford the graded ones just go and buy them, hoping that they will get a few things to sell to make up their cost or to make some profit. So the sorting stages spans across all these, and these little factors determine where each clothing falls within.
But is there a possibility of like bridging the gap? Because these things that you've mentioned so far, there's clear like a differentiation factor in terms of the sending countries obviously do not know. I mean, they should know Ghana is hot, but then obviously based on certain reasons best known to them, it comes here. What can be done to really bridge the gap, so that there could be probably a standardized, grading system that can be shared with importers, that everybody's now going to stick to it to make sure that if a customer or a trader really picks this bill, they are very sure what they have in there is going to meet, that standardized definition.
Well, for that, it's simple. It's literally involving the people who deal with the clothes at the end of the cycle.
The bottom side, okay.
Which is, I don't see them, I don't consider traders bottom. So then, involving traders in the decision making from start. So traders should actually determine what is being sent, whereby communication or dialogue between the sender and the trader, of which the importers and everybody involved is also facilitating it. But then the trader runs the main in terms of the content, because they are the ones that deal with the content. As to every other aspect, the importers, the government doesn't deal with it. So then having the trader be in a decision-making process from the start, literally saying, okay, this is what sells, this is what we want, this is what you should bring. And then based on that, it should trickle down into policy. Standards should be created into policy, legislature, and also that would trickle down into the government system, where they look at how they can, the import tax, because import tax duties influence cost, and that cost is also put on the consumers. So then, if these strategies are being taken and trickles down through every stage, where we're also cautious about the cost factor of it, then it's then that will be a better approach. That yes, better things are coming, sellable things are coming, but then the pricing is also affordable, because one thing that could also kill the industry is high prices.
Okay.
We need to be considerate on all these sections. Yeah.
Okay. So I think you made some very interesting points. I mean, just to be able to ensure that we have that unified, grading system for it to help everybody on the value chain. All right. Now, we did some activity with your help. We're able to call for some garments to come in within the grade C and then the grade D. We had over 2,473 garments doing the sorting exercise. The rationale for that was to really understand the waste condition, the reality of the waste, with regards to some specific archetypes that we had in mind based on this risk. Now, you're a big player when it comes to repair, right? So, calling for this it's been something that you always do. I want to really understand in terms of what is the capacity when it comes to repair from your point of view as compared to the volumes of garments that comes in, and the fact that in our research shows that there is everybody says the quality has dropped, which means there's going to be higher form of textile waste in the market.
Yeah.
So I want to find out in terms of the volumes and also look at which other repair players are in, because when we speak to them, we realize they use quite some basic methods, either screen printing, dyeing, ironing, straightening, fixing buttons and all that, and these are quite basic. So what are you doing different, and how do you assess the volumes, and what do you think the future should look like, for us to be able to in a way control the DNC let's say impacts that we have on the environment?
Yeah, I think for us, we don't only do repair, we do upcycling as well. Mm-hmm. And these are two different techniques that we try to keep close in circularity here at the Revival. Mm-hmm. So, in terms of the volumes, there is no exact trend of volume, because mm-hmm. sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes you can get 20, 15%, 10% of waste. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can get lesser. Mm-hmm. So it's all dependent on what comes in, but there is no, I cannot tell you specifically that this percentage is consistent mm-hmm. across in a particular year. Now, the aspect of repair and these basic techniques of keeping close circularity, it's been existing already. This is something that they've been doing, because when traders go and buy the bales, which is like ranging from about $100 to about $600 based on the grade or the origin or where you're buying from. The fact that there's no return policy, they cannot take it back. They have to figure out a way to keep it, to keep selling it, to make their money back. Yeah. That's where the repair aspects and even the upcycling comes in. So this is an existing skill mm-hmm. that we just, I've been coming to the market for 2 decades now in different capacities. And that is what we adapted based on the problem that was affecting all of us in the community, and said, okay, let's adapt this and let's look at it more deeper so it's scalable. So that is where people now embraced the more advanced or a more upgraded aspect of mm-hmm. the repair, which upcycling came in, where literally we take clothes that are meant that are totally grade D or grade C and D, and then we transform them into other things. And that the traders here embraced, because they were like, wow, something I could throw away now has been turned into a purse, mm-hmm, into a laptop mm-hmm, sleeve, mm-hmm. into a backpack. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of shifting the narrative of what waste is here, that even though it's unsellable at its original state, it is still value when it's being upcycled. Yeah. And different techniques which are already existing, like the dyeing, mm-hmm. like the stitching, like the ironing, and all these things form different techniques in upcycling, repair, keeping clothes in circularity. Repair is a huge aspect here in the ecosystem, where it's helped to keep a lot of clothes from being waste. Yep. So these are existing, that just needs to be improved, needs to be adapted and made better systems, better infrastructure, because the problem is the idea is there, but then execution is a problem because there is no resources like even basic types of stitching machines or overlock machine or certain needles and certain stitching techniques. It's not here. So that is what we are trying to bring. We are bringing into the system here to be able to change the narrative of what people see as waste, mm-hmm. and see it and not see it anymore as an element of pollution, mm-hmm. but see it as a valuable commodity that can be that has economic money,
value, yes.
economic value.
Yes.
So through this, people get more jobs. People get to be able to make or cut down their debts that they incur from buying bills that entail unsellable items or waste. So there are the track records when we're tracking all these things have shown that the level or the amount of waste that leaves the market is diminishing or is reducing based on this scale that we are making them aware of and improving.
What I want to find out is, so the grade C, grade D waste that do not come to you, or let's say the other repair entities within the space, how do they get disposed? Because in our research, we didn't see visible bins. And even if there were bins, we didn't see them being separated. You know, they were just mixed weights in terms of sorting, in terms of making sure this is for textile, this is for organic, this is for plastic and all that. That culture is not really there. And the bin is also not visible. So what do you think, you know, is the process, you know, of that these materials go through when they don't fall in the hands of repairers or upcycle entities like you?
I mean, for us, we position ourselves in the intersection of the market and where it ends up, which is mainly the landfill.
Yeah.
Trying to divert these clothes from going there.
Okay.
But then based on capacity, we cannot do everything. So then the ones that we're not able to intercept goes through informal waste pickers. They have their bags walking around and saying bola, 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 does anybody have?
Bola means
trash.
trash. Yeah.
So they take it and then you pay them a little something small and then they go and dispose it at the nearest landfill, which is Old Fadama.
Okay.
Now this is the responsibility of AME. But the informal guy, but they don't do it, so the informal guys do it. Like you mentioned, there are no visible bins for them to put it. And even if there are, they are not segregated. I mean, the AMA does collection in here periodically, but it's being disposed in a landfill as far as we're concerned and based on our research.
Okay.
But then this place generates waste every day. So there needs to be that consistency and a proper structure of waste collection and waste management here.
Okay. Okay. What do you think in the capacity of authority that takes care of us, you know, and I'm referring to that legislature, so when it comes to the government bodies that do have the power to enforce existing policies or to be able to develop and create new policies and systems and how to enforce them and all that. What is your opinion on what is currently happening in the textile waste space?
I think right now, currently, when it comes to legislature governance around this situation, it's not well managed. It's not being tackled heads on, because I mean, if you look at the policies like from the EU and all these things, mostly they set this policy and they say 2030, 2040, which is a long time.
Yeah.
But the situation and the level of pollution is happening every single second. Do you know that every second one truck of clothes is being disposed? Every single second.
Oh, that's a lot. Every second.
Every single second. And look at how the fast pace of pollution, and we sit there and say 2030, 2050. By then, everything is gone. Yeah, say. So then that agency should be attached to policy first. Secondly, there needs to be a review of all these trade agreements that are allowing or that are facilitating the second-hand trade or the movement of second-hand around. These systems are not favoring certain parties.
Okay.
It needs to be favorable and just to all parties. Like, why would Global North send clothes here and for it to pollute our environment? And their side is kept clean. That means there's a problem somewhere. We need to look around what's facilitating that. Legislature policies that government needs to come up with certain policies that will manage, which in general sense or at the long run needs to reflect prioritizing the planet more than everything else, which is looking at fostering secular models in the fashion industry. And that is curbing, making sure overproduction doesn't happen. And also what materials are in there.
Yeah.
Polyester, which forms about almost 70% of the material that we use in the fashion industry now, is made from petroleum, made from fossil fuel, which is a massive contributor of climate change. Because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And now fast fashion relies or dwells on fossil fuel. So then government should look into this, legislators should look into this and look at readapting or going back to how fashion used to be. Back in the 3-4 decades ago, we were doing cotton. Cotton was dominating, organic cotton and everything. That we could see how its impact on the planet was then versus now. Look, climate change is up and down anyway, all the time.
But even when you mentioned back in the days, I remember, I mean, my grandma would sew.
Exactly.
You understand? And then we knew how to pass on the fabric from one person to another, because by nature, our clothes like kente is very valuable. You cannot find kente on the rubbish dump.
No.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it's about, producing it the quality wise and also the social behaviors, because I keep hating on the social behaviors, because if we are all doing it the right way, we wouldn't have been where we find ourselves and all that. So it's for me, it's as much as legislatures and policies will be able to help, I want to really look at drilling it down to the basic, the everyday Ghanaian on the street, and how we think about and how we relate to clothes and how we want to pass it on, or do we want to dump it and all that. We need to have that conscientize ourselves. But back to legislatures. Doing the research, I mean, we spoke to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the AMA, and also the Standard Board, and the EPA as well, just to really, understand what activities are they, embarking on with regards to textile waste and all that. It was very enlightening to know that, there is an existing LI, which is the LI 1586, right? And within that, it clearly, looked at certain importation of certain materials that, they've been banned, and you can see like the panties, the sanitary pads, the mattresses and all that, they've been highlighted in there. So the question I ask myself is, the regulations or the policies that we are putting across, I mean, is it just, something that would solve our problem, or it's beyond that? Because if there's something already existing, how come it hasn't been enforced to curb what we find ourselves in now?
I mean, there's been a proof of concept using the e-waste,
yeah,
in terms of the ranking system of appliances,
exactly,
for based on their consumption. We could adapt that in textile.
Yeah. Because
the textile waste solution problem is rampant. It's there. We cannot turn a blind eye to it. It's happening on a fast pace. So then we can apply that and make it and set up rules that says this is a standardized grading system. This is what we want, how we want it to be. If it's not this way, reject it. It's not even coming into the country. Yeah. That's as simple as it is. And that boils down to the reviewing of trade agreements and relationships with the sending countries. That we should also see ourselves as the initiators of certain policies. We shouldn't always wait for the so-called developed countries to always impose certain policies on us. We are in the problem.
Yeah.
We know that we can find our own solution. We know the solution. So then we need to be more, if I should say, proactive in handling our own problems and making stand and strict decisions. I mean, Rwanda is a typical example. They banned secondhand in 2018. It was a struggle for them because a lot of embargoes was placed on them in terms of aid coming from other countries and stuff. But they were resilient, and their local textile industry now is one of the most thriving in Africa. Their shores are clean. They're not struggling with textile waste as we are doing now. So there is proof in other places. There are case studies that we could look into to give us enough reason for us to adapt or to make stand decisions. I understand it's going to be challenging because of the whole system, if I should say, I put it straight blank, capitalist system we find ourselves in, but we need to be able to sacrifice certain things, make some stand decisions, and stand on our feet to do it. That we also, as Africans, as Africans, we can also create global solutions. We can also bring policies that influence global stuff, because we live in a global surface. The earth is for all of us, and every actions we take anywhere has a repercussion. Just like the way the global north dumps things here and has an effect on our environment, but also will have an effect on them as well. So we all have to tackle this problem as a global issue, but then look at how we can practically, from a local perspective, deal with our solutions and we stand and very strict on certain things. I just want to add one more thing, which is the culture or the understanding of sustainability and how we see it here. I think vocabulary is important. How people understand what even sustainability upcycling means. This sustainability has been in our DNA for centuries, but just that the word is new to us. So then trying to break down certain words according to practices and make people aware that this word that everybody's talking about, you've been doing it already.
It's already,
And also having to enforce or have government or legislature to encourage initiatives that are trying to foster circularity, that are bringing solutions. So through support systems like incentivizing, grants as well.
Yes, incubations,
so that, exactly, so that that circular economy can be achieved with local initiatives. Then it can trickle down globally, because the entire global fashion system or industry needs to switch immediately to a circular model, practical circular model.
The way you're mentioning this public education and awareness kind of programs as a main sort of solution, and also with the input of what government can do from the local level, what does institutions, like, what role do they play in there? Are they courses or models? Because we discovered there's a school in the Volta region that is having, like, upcycling as a course.
I think they are key in this problem, because education is what influences our lifestyle and how we do things. So having to relook at the curriculum and make upcycling a recognized or a key subject in every aspect of education. So right from kindergarten to primary to secondary to university to advanced, whatever, to what level. This circular courses or circular knowledge should be embedded in every stage. We work with a lot of institutions: University of Ghana, Central St. Martin's, Royal College of Arts, Sciences Po in Paris. All these institutions are fashion institutions that are growing the next generation of fashion designers. So then, if the current system has failed us, it's obvious. Correct me if I'm wrong. the current fashion system has failed us. That is
No,
why
I
we're
agree
doing
with you.
about
That's
textile
why
waste.
we are even talking about this and
Exactly.
doing this research.
So that gives ample reason that there is something wrong in the education system, because the people who are the players in the fashion industry are adding up to the problem. So that means we need to go back to the drawing board and redefine what fashion is in terms of design, and now bring in the circular model, understanding how fashion can be more circular rather than creating more problems. So the next generation should have the right details, the right knowledge, the right content, so it will influence their decisions in coming into the fashion business. So education is very, very, very key. Not
Yeah.
only theory, but mainly more even practical.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just want to bring the conversation back home, into Kanta. And you've been here over like 2 decades, right? And obviously, you love the space, and how you speak about it, you are really passionate about the space and all that. Hence, you're wearing I love Kanta kind of t-shirt, but I think there is also a story behind the t-shirt, which it will be good to let our viewers know why I love Kanta.
Yeah, I mean, this is literally me. I love Kanta. Like, Kanta is like a second home to me. And I mean, on January 2nd, we had a devastating news, which really hit everybody hard, which is fire gutted about 65% of the market, causing massive financial loss to traders. A lot of traders lost a lot of their stock, their money, their livelihood. So it came as a massive shock to us, and we literally were left in limbo. That, wow, how could this happen, and how are we going to even recover? But then there was one thing that I saw, which was people didn't want to give up. People felt like we have to be even stronger more. Kantamanto is not just a market, it's a community of people who are very resilient, who are very hardworking and resourceful. Hence, I love everything. I love Kantamanto. So this t-shirt symbolizes the love that runs between everybody. People from all walks of life are here, from the north, south, east, and west.
Yeah.
But immediately you get here, there is that bond, which is what we are all doing, the love of the work we're doing, the love of keeping clothes in circularity.
Yeah.
That is what bonds us all, irrespective whether I'm making profit or not. I'm happy to be here because I am doing business, making money. People are happy to buy stuff from me, but also on a bigger scale, I'm keeping clothes in circularity and doing something cool. Kantamanto is a cool place.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been a great journey rebuilding with the help of organizations, governments, and other things, bringing resources, monies, and stuff.
Yeah.
But then that is not enough to build a community, rebuild a community like Kantamanto. It's the togetherness, the community that we live, the unity in the community, and the shared vision and goal that we all have.
Yeah.
And when I pass through the market now, business is back again. About 80% of business are running again. People are going back to their business. It's just a beautiful thing to see that from January 2nd until today, which is like almost 2 months, market is back. Market that was 65% burnt.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, this t-shirt, even at the back, I'm saying fire cannot quench or distinguish the community we have.
Yeah.
So then there is power, and that makes me understand, I have a clear feeling of the power of unity in community.
The support is still open. People can still join, some still buy, t-shirts.
There's
and
still
all
more
that.
work. T-shirts are still available in stock to purchase. Just send us a DM or order it on our Instagram. It's coming on the website soon. But there's been a lot of work done, but there's still more work to be done. There are still people that have not resumed work. There are still people are working in uncompleted stores. There's still a lot of installation and things to be done. We're also looking at how this could be an opportunity to improve the infrastructure in the market. where we're looking at how we can manage situations like this fire again when it arrives. We want to put strategies in place that will prevent this from happening again. So we still need support, we still need help and support of any kind. If not only money, but then resources in terms of expertise, in terms of machinery resources, anything that could help us achieve or improve the market and prevent this from happening. At the same time, improving the livelihood and making Kantamanto a decent working place.
Well, I mean, I share in that knowledge, I mean, you know, but what I want to tell viewers, I mean, our research started some few months before the fire, and when I observed, you know, doing the sorting, speaking to traders and all that, there's one thing I found quite unique that you kept doing, you know, that you had unique visitors from either other industries, both local or global, and you made time to take them through like a tour in Kantamanto, which I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody is doing like a tour in Kantamanto. I wanted to find out like what really is the intent, you know, of that tour, because I mean, when it comes to archival and research and all that, we are not really big. And is there a bigger picture of what you are doing with regards to the visitors that you bring them in and you expose them to the various narratives within the spaces and all that kind of thing? What is the goal for that?
So, I mean, for me, Kantamanto is a place that needs to be known by everybody. There is, Kantamanto goes beyond just selling of clothes. It's a whole art of circularity, which needs to be seen and experienced by everybody, or people who understand, or people who have a love for sustainability, circularity, fashion and art in general. So then the experience I get anytime I come here, seeing how people use different techniques to keep clothes in circularity, to make it nice, like the guy applying dye on jeans, somebody sprinkling paint on stuff. This is visually pleasing to see. And the happiness on people's faces when even some people are like, are in debt, are making losses, but then the happiness to which they approach the work, it's just beautiful. And Kantamanto, even though the infrastructure is not great, but then it's also interesting one to do. It's like a maze, going through corners, left, right, front, back, and also the sound. You hear people using different techniques to invite people to their space. Yeah, one city, come and buy. Hey, my things just came, new open.
Yeah, 5-5.
Exactly. These things are beautiful things that you can hear, you know, sound, the ambience, and even the visual, like people using umbrellas of different colors, the way people display things, like people hang clothes on the umbrellas, some hang it on the top of their stores, some fold it in a certain way, some hold it. So like, these are different visuals or different things that you see, showing how people are using little or nothing to create something amazing. And that is something everybody should see. But also bringing in business. I want people to come and buy. I want these guys to make sales. So then bringing in more people in to experience this and buy and patronize the services or the products that people are selling.
What about the archival version?
Yes. So in terms of the archival aspect, is very important. I mean, we're trying to be able to create, you know, to archive that people will be able to see and understand the, like, I mean, currently we're documenting the whole market because all these these beautiful sceneries and everything cannot be left unarchived. There needs to be this proof, this content, or this assets that the next generation and other people or people in other places could see and see, oh, this is what these people were doing at this time of the year to keep close in circularity. This is how our approach to sustainability was or is. So then the tourism aspect is very, very important. And I see the economic aspect to it of improving the market, which is tourists bring in money. They come and buy. And they also send information back that I experienced this beautiful space. The way people, or the perception about Kantamanto, that waste and all of that, is not 100% like that. People, it's beautiful people, amazing people that are happy enjoying what they're doing.
I mean, it's interesting you spoke about archival, and I want to know in terms of, like you mentioned, like, you know, when there should be another time that they would get to know what we're doing, you know, today. And in that regards, I want to find out, which should be the last question in terms of, in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years, you know, mid to long term, how do you see, or how do you want to see the market evolve?
I think, I mean, what I want to see is to be able to have that global recognition of Kantamanto being the only place where circularity is done at scale, practically.
Yeah.
Nowhere else in the world is doing circularity or is practicing circularity at the scale we're doing it. And that needs to be acknowledged globally and leverage on that to bring that should be help improve the infrastructure here. In 5 years, I want to see Kantamanto become a decent working space. I want to see everybody in the Kantamanto value chain making money. I want to see traders happy and not complaining about
quality and
you know
this.
I want to be able to see that the waste management aspect here is on top
notch, yeah.
That there are segregation bins, that there is sorting facility, upcycling studios all over. That upcycling is also becomes an aspect of the economy here. That people are making money from upcycling.
Yeah.
People are making money from repair. That this place becomes an ecosystem where circularity is done on a large scale, but also in bringing in technology, tech, advance, and just still maintaining that skill that we've had organically, but having improvements in how we go about things.
Too many new things, they come for me, brother man.